Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Diddy Combs came from entirely different worlds. One, a financier embedded with global elites, the other, a hip-hop icon who dominated the music industry. Yet their stories share a common thread. Both built empires of power and wealth that allowed them to manipulate, exploit, and silence those around them. For years, they seemed untouchable. Epstein's black book was filled with names of presidents and royalty, while Diddy's reputation as a cultural mogul made him untouchable in the entertainment world. But power isn't forever. Wealth can shield wrongdoing for a time, but life has a way of collecting its debts. The truth about power, injustice, and consequences is this: you can run, you can hide, but one day the bill will come due, and the longer you wait, the steeper the price. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't a household name for most of his career. He preferred to operate in the shadows, where his wealth and connections gave him access to the highest echelons of power. Presidents flew on his private jet. A prince stayed at his mansion. Billionaires flocked to his infamous private island, where luxury masked something far darker. Epstein made people believe he was indispensable. He wasn't just rich, he was connected. If you wanted access to the people who ran the world, you stayed in Epstein's orbit. And for years, he used that access to exploit young women, allegedly trafficking them across the globe. In 2008, when Epstein was charged with soliciting underage girls, he didn't face the justice system like an ordinary person. Instead, his money and influence secured a sweetheart deal. 13 months in jail, with work release privileges that let him leave 6 days a week. It was a slap on the wrist, proof that the wealthy could bend the law to their will. Diddy's path to power looked very different but carried the same aura of invincibility. Rising from Harlem, he built Bad Boy Records into one of the most influential labels in music history. He wasn't just a rapper or producer, he was a mogul. Diddy expanded into fashion, liquor, and media, turning himself into a brand that symbolized success, ambition, and excess. But as his empire grew, so did the whispers. Behind the scenes of Diddy's flashy parties and larger-than-life persona were allegations of control and misconduct. His infamous freak-off parties, shrouded in exclusivity, became rumored arenas for power dynamics that left little room for resistance. For both men, their power wasn't just a tool, it was a weapon. They used it to silence critics, intimidate victims, and protect themselves from scrutiny. Powerful men rarely act alone. They surround themselves with enablers, people who look the other way, protect their secrets, or help cover their tracks. Epstein and Diddy both operated within systems that allowed their behavior to persist for years. Epstein's empire relied on a network of accomplices. Ghislaine Maxwell, his closest confidant, played a key role in recruiting and grooming victims. Pilots flew private jets filled with underage girls. Staff maintained silence about the horrors inside his properties, and associates shielded him from legal repercussions. This wasn't just about personal loyalty. Epstein's wealth created a safety net for anyone who played along. He rewarded silence with money, favors, and access to his powerful network. For years, this system kept him untouchable. Diddy's empire thrived in an industry built on loyalty and fear. The entertainment world is a place where challenging someone as influential as Diddy can mean the end of your career. Employees, artists, and insiders describe a culture of intimidation. Contracts were leveraged as weapons, reputations dangled like bargaining chips. Diddy's parties weren't just celebrations of wealth, they were symbols of dominance. If you were invited, you were part of the inner circle. If you spoke out, you risked everything. Both Epstein and Diddy thrived in environments where silence wasn't just encouraged, it was enforced. No matter how powerful you are, no fortress lasts forever. For both Epstein and Diddy, the cracks in their empires began to show, and the weight of their debts started catching up with them. Epstein's world came crashing down in 2019. New federal charges exposed the scale of his crimes, and the Me Too movement created an environment where his victims felt emboldened to speak out. His arrest sent shockwaves through his network. Suddenly, the people who had once protected him scrambled to distance themselves. Epstein's death in a Manhattan jail cell, officially ruled a suicide, left more questions than answers. Some called it an escape, others a cover-up. But regardless of how he died, his legacy was destroyed. The name Jeffrey Epstein no longer evoked wealth and power. It became synonymous with abuse and corruption. In recent years, Diddy has faced mounting allegations that mirror Epstein's in their scope and implications. While he has not been convicted of any crimes, the accusations paint a picture of a man who allegedly used his power to harm those around him. Diddy's empire, like Epstein's, is built on relationships and influence. But as victims find the courage to speak out, the culture of silence that once protected him is starting to crumble. The entertainment industry, once quick to shield its stars, is under increased scrutiny. The question isn't if Diddy will face consequences, it's when. The stories of Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Diddy Combs reveal a universal truth. Life doesn't forget. Every wrong creates a debt, and the longer it goes unpaid, the heavier the burden becomes. Epstein's decades of exploitation left a staggering balance. For years, his wealth delayed justice, but when the reckoning came, it was total. He lost his freedom, his reputation, and eventually his life. The empire he built was dismantled, his name forever tarnished. If the allegations against Diddy prove true, his reckoning may follow a similar trajectory. His influence may delay the inevitable, but debts to justice cannot be erased. They only grow. For both men, the cost of delaying accountability wasn't just legal, it was personal. Their names, once symbols of success, became cautionary tales of corruption and abuse. The stories of Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Diddy Combs aren't just scandals, they're lessons. They show how power, when unchecked, becomes a weapon of harm. They reveal the systems that enable exploitation and the silence that allows it to continue. But most importantly, they prove that no one, no matter how wealthy or influential, can escape justice forever. To those who walk the same path, let this be your warning. Stop now. Pay your debts while you still can. Justice delayed is not justice denied, and the longer you wait, the steeper the price you'll pay. For the rest of us, their stories are a call to action. We must hold the powerful accountable, break the systems of silence that protect them, and ensure that justice is not just an idea, but a reality. Because in the end, life always collects its debts. The only question is how high the interest will be. Don't miss what's next. Subscribe now to stay updated as we uncover the truth behind the darkness. Let's wait and see what price Diddy will have to pay, and who might be next to follow in the footsteps of Epstein and Diddy. The story is far from over.